Southern Maryland. What's in the house? Southern Maryland, let's make some noise. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Troy Lamel Stovall. I'm the CEO of TEDCO, Maryland's engine for early stage technology investments and support. I couldn't be more happier to be here this evening with all of you. We are doing this live at the Velocity Center in Southern Maryland. I want to thank, I'll introduce my guest here in a minute, but for her leadership and for her support, we're here with our friends from the College of Southern Maryland. I would be remiss if I did not say thank you to those who helped underwrite this and help us make this happen. That includes our friends at PNC. Thank you, PNC, as well as Charles County. Thank you, Kelly. And so I've had a chance, I've been here in Southern Maryland for most of the afternoon, visiting all the amazing assets you have here in Southern Maryland. Couldn't be more happier to be here. And so just so you know, it's interesting, we've done these now, and I thank PNC, thank Charles County. I'm remiss if I also don't thank a Marcom team at TEDCO, Hal and Cassie, and the leader of them all, Miss Tammy. Thank you all. They've been doing an amazing job producing these. So I'm interested, Ellen, but Ellen, I think it's interesting. We've done a number of these, but this is my second live TEDCO Talks. And in each of them, I've had a black woman as my guest. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, something.
Up and coming.
So look, couldn't be more happier to be here. Thank you all for being here. So let me get right into this. I am here tonight. If you don't know, I'm the CEO of TEDCO, but I have a board. We have a board, most of which is appointed by the governor. We have a couple of positions that are appointed by the Speaker of the House and by the Senate President. And so in those 19 people that are on our board, one of them this is one of my bosses here. I got a whole bunch of bosses in my life. And so Ellen Flowersfield, Associate Vice President at the College of Southern Maryland. Thank you, Ellen, for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
So, Ellen, we're going to jump right into this. So we're going to chat a little bit. And so, Ellen, I got a pretty good, I tell you, we're going to have some fun. So Ellen's worried about, because Tammy's already worried about me going off script. So I'm about to go off script right now. No, might as well set expectations of expectations that go off script. So I know, we're going to play a little fact or fiction. How about that?
Okay.
To start off.
Work.
Does that work?
Yes,
that
it
works?
works.
Okay. So I'm going to start off with something easy. You are a successful entrepreneur.
Yes.
You were a franchise owner of an edible arrangements.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
10 years of business ownership in Calvert County, right here in Southern Maryland. I do have to say I had an amazing amount of support from Calvert County from opening that business way back, I think it was 2007 when I first opened the business, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. You are a native Pennsylvanian.
Absolutely not. I am a native New Yorker, and if any of you know New Yorkers, we have to. In fact, I belong to the best tribe in New York from Brooklyn, so if anyone's here from the Bronx, we can fight that out later, but Brooklyn.
You don't like healthy food.
Ooh, no, that's not true. But I like unhealthy food also, but I do really like healthy food.
You had a recent visit to New York, and you had hot dogs, pretzels, cheesecake, and bagels. I assume that's healthy food. I just asked.
Some people know all of your business, right? He left out I had pastrami from Katz Delicatessen. So if any of you know Katz, you have to go there, right? So yes, I ate very unhealthy and paid for it, by the way.
Have I embarrassed you enough?
Yes, you have.
So let's get it. So let's talk about Ellen and your journey to here in College of Southern Maryland. And I want to kind of really focus it on, how you got here, but more importantly, Ellen, talk to folks about, talk to another young lady who might be looking at you and saying how your journey from New York here to Southern Maryland, and that part of the journey where there was a tough decision that had to be made, where that proverbial fork in the road where everything pointed right, but you went left. Talk about that for folks.
Joy, that's a challenging one. Well, to start, I ended up here in Southern Maryland because my husband was in the military, and we relocated to this region about 21 years ago. And there have been a number of forks in the road throughout my entire career. Most of them were at points in time where I had an opportunity for advancement in one way or another. And I had to decide whether or not the gifts that I felt I was bringing to the jobs that I had, if I could take those gifts to the next level. So I had to ask myself that over and over again. My entire career has been in what I sum up as human capital development. It's all about people. It's all about helping people get to their next. If I had a bumper sticker on me, that is what it would say. It's let me help you get to your next, whatever that is. I have not predefined that for people. I don't assume everybody needs to go in one route or another to be successful. Success is individually defined. And so my work has been primarily working with, for government entities, and now an educational entity, helping to support people get to their next.
There's so much in that I love because, so many companies, so many enterprises talk about their people part of their most important asset. And yet when you look at what they really do, they don't really invest in that most important asset. And so I want you to talk about kind of how you thought about how you have to make that different. How do you really invest in people? And your people strategy has to be tied to your corporate strategy, because and sometimes there's a disconnect between those things, and how you've helped enterprises do that differently.
It's no secret. It's something that we all say, but I don't know if we all do it. It's about taking the time to know each of your employees individually, what they're strong in and what they're not so strong in, and giving them opportunities, whether it's through formal professional development or through coaching or connection to other resources to help develop those areas and then celebrate that. Most people are very interested in learning, but no one's ever told them that they were maybe abrasive or they came off a certain way. People go in their entire adult lives and no one has had the guts to tell them this is an area that if you could improve in, you would have so many more opportunities.
Why is that? That's a great point. Stay on that. Why? Why can't we give that hard feedback to folks?
Well, for me, it's about relationship building. If a person feels safe with you, if they feel like you have their best interests in mind, that you're there to help them, then it's easier to have those hard conversations. If you're only interfacing when something went wrong, then it's a scenario where people find even what you're saying to them hard to take. Yep. They take it personal. But if an individual knows that you're truly invested in them to grow professionally and personally, when you have those conversations, they know where it's coming from, and they're more inclined to lean in.
I like that. So there's a level of engagement. There's a level of transparency that manager or that leader or whatever has to have with that individual. But it has to be transparency. Has to be bidirectional. In other words, I can't help you unless you want to help yourself, and me allow you to help you do that.
Absolutely, and at the same time, being vulnerable with your own team about how you want to grow and where you're challenged as either a business owner or, as a manager or leader of a team, and saying, I struggle here too, and this is what I'm doing to help myself, and, help me. Am I thinking about this right? Did I miss something? Be honest about the fact that none of us know it all, and become a part of your team. It doesn't minimize your ability to lead your team. They still look to you for that leadership, but be a part of it.
I love it. So let's transition quickly. Let's allow you to. We're here again in Southern Maryland here at this great place, this Velocity Center, where I'm looking at your makerspace across the hallway here. Talk about the College of Southern Maryland. Allow you to let's let all of our viewers here and across and folks here in the room talk about the College of Southern Maryland.
Thank you. Thank you. The College of Southern Maryland is a jewel and an asset to this region. It's over 60 years old and grew from being a single county community college to a regional community college just 21 years ago. And the impact that it has made in investing in the lives of individuals who want to pursue higher education, cannot be accounted for. Over 80% of our graduates live and work in the region. So you can look at almost any industry and find someone who attended the College of Southern Maryland to receive their degree or certification in one field or more. And we, like most of education, are continuing to advance and finding ways to innovate educational delivery, but to engage individuals, adults, and young learners in a way that's progressive. And so this center that we're in today, the Velocity Center, is part of that dedication to innovation and collaboration with this community, which includes our local Navy base at Indian Head Naval Surface War Center. And the makerspace in and of itself is an opportunity for the young people who live right behind this building, as well as the scientists and engineers who are on the base, to come in and decide what they want to create or make. Move up from Play-Doh and move to 3D printing and filament, is an opportunity.
Love it, love it. It's called the Velocity Center. Talk about the velocity. That talks about speed and acceleration and moving at a different pace. Talk about why the name is Velocity Center.
The name is important for a number of reasons, but motion is exactly what it's about. You have to constantly be moving. You have to constantly be learning. You have to constantly expose yourself to opportunities and be willing to think about things differently from the way you previously understood them. And I think that's the hardest thing. Children have no problem with that. Today it's this way, tomorrow it's another way, it's absolutely no problem. Adults, they're like, it's been this way for 15 years, that's the way it's gonna be till I die, the world is not, and it's just, I don't know why we do that as adults. Why do we lose that? I mean, the opportunity to be in a space where the slate can be cleaned every day and you can start anew. I think that's the kind of motion that we want to catalyze.
The childlike innovation, the childlike ability to look, the whole point of being an entrepreneur, and I know we have several entrepreneurs in the audience tonight, I think being an entrepreneur means I'm willing to fail. It doesn't mean I'm willing to succeed. I'm willing to fail, and I'm willing to take that failure and turn it into something that will succeed. And I think that childlike ambition to do that is what so many adults, they have the idea, but they're not willing to fail.
It's also being willing to admit what you don't know, and bringing people and resources around you that can help you come to that solution without being threatened by it. It's okay to not be the smartest person in the room. I tell people all the time, very often I am not. I just told my colleague, Gary Evans, that when we were standing here at the table, I am hardly ever the smartest person in the room, but I know how to bring smart people together. I know how to bring resources together to make things happen and make the right introductions, and that's one of the reasons why I value being a board member of TEDCO, because that's what TEDCO does.
Well, look, on that, so you may or may not want to be the smartest, but I will tell you, this is, of a board member, this is a woman that will always ask the question in the board meeting that I'm sitting like, I don't know. Let me get back to you on that one. This is the one I got, okay? And I'm sitting here interviewing her. So I know a very important thing for you is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what that means and how you're making that a reality here at the College of Southern Maryland. Talk about what you're doing and what that means for you and for the College of Southern Maryland.
Well, the community colleges as a whole were established as an equity agenda for the nation way back. It was to allow access to education that was affordable and that did not have a barrier. You didn't have to have a certain GPA or a certain SAT score to get in. You could come, apply, and get in and get started. So it's a great equalizer. And so it fits warmly within my own philosophy, is to believe that everyone has the capacity for better. Yep. Not everyone was a star in school. I was not a star in grade school, but I'm brilliant. I know that I am, right?
Wait, what did she just say? She wasn't a smart person. What did she just say? What did she just say?
I'm not that smart, but I am brilliant.
This is live, This is live and being taped, just so we're clear, okay?
Brilliant in the sense that I'm always thinking of new ideas. I'm always trying to figure out how to do things different. I'm a problem solver. That is who I am by nature. And I think there are a lot of brilliant problem solvers out there that weren't necessarily the best at geometry. So I think being here at the College of Southern Maryland allows me to support individuals who want to achieve, their goals through academia, but provide them experiential, hands-on learning opportunities where they get to be brilliant and apply what they're learning and think differently about what they're learning and see the possibilities as to how that translates for them out into the world after school.
You reminded me of a quote I just saw. Henry Winkler did the commencement address. I forget what college he did the commencement address at some college. For those that ain't old enough to remember, Henry Winkler was the Foz on Happy Day. For those of you that go check out YouTube, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. And yeah, thank you. I see folks get it. And what he said was, in this brain, I don't quite remember anything about geometry because no one's ever asked me about the angle of an isosceles triangle. But I remember it, but I know enough about it to know what I don't know. But I've still been successful not knowing what I remember about geometry. And I guess where I'm going with that is we've reached a point where and we were just having this conversation with someone earlier today here in Southern Maryland about the fact that the traditional definition of success was the 4 years, young folks goes 4 years, get a bachelor's degree, go get a job or go get a master's. And now we have a number of opportunities where it doesn't have to be that pathway. It could be a credential or a badge or some type of certification, and I can go in and out as I need to, and how we have to think differently about this notion of education and matriculation and success has changed. Any thoughts on that?
Well, you're fully speaking my language. We talk a lot here at the College of Southern Maryland about the on-ramps and off-ramps and how we can do more as a system to ensure that all higher learning levels of education counts. My personal quote is I say, why does education make adults start from their 17-year-old selves? And what I mean by that is that young person who maybe decided after high school, they weren't going to college right away. They were going to go work for a couple of years. At 24, 25, maybe they see they're hitting ceilings, not able to quite make the money that they did, but they've gotten some real experience. And they come to a college, not CSM, by the way, but they come to a college and they're told, well, you got to start right at the beginning, as though you just got out of high school, as though anything you've learned all this time doesn't count, none of your professional development, none of your experience. We need to do a better job at analyzing that, assessing it, and applying credit towards real higher level learning and accomplishments. And so we've been working here at CSM to do that so that adults understand that there's many, many ways to learn, and lifelong learning is what we want to support.
Here in Maryland recently, the governor recently announced that some of the jobs here in Maryland, they're going to change the job requirements so that a degree is no longer required and that they're going to be looking more at experience. And actually working with a group that I did some work with called Opportunity at Work that has championed this notion that there are STARS, that's their acronym that they use, that there's a whole talent pool that we haven't identified in this country. And frankly, let's be blunt, a lot of the people of color and women that have these skills, that have these capabilities, but they've not been able to be placed because they lack the traditional credentialing. And so what I hear you talk about is how do we make sure that there's a better connection in corporate America about their needs and how to identify those, and it doesn't always have to be articulated with a degree.
Absolutely. I think, for a very long time, industry responded to the degree as the only qualifier. That's the main qualifier, and then a couple of years of experience. With the advent of digital learning and MOOCs and open access education, they're finding that people can come to them with a depth of experience and knowledge in a particular field, not having completed a full degree in that field. And they're embracing that more, especially as industry itself starts to develop their own training programs and their own certifications, and they're seeing the value in that.
Because I know since Tammy's walked up, that means she's about to give me a signal here. And of course, I'm going to ignore it. And so, So I want to, because I ain't done with you yet, I want to open up to our friends here in the audience here. We have a live audience here. And so I want to see if anybody's got any questions of Ellen or of me. I'll even take some questions. Questions. I'm opening this up. Questions from the audience. Oh, y'all, in the back.
So Ellen, you got me thinking about this, taking into account people's experience, not, necessarily starting with a degree to measure a person, and then the thing about, it's isosceles triangles, et cetera. And I think that addresses a lot of what we've seen in education and what we've seen in the professional industry, as well. And I was wondering, my question for you, Troy, do you have a way yet, personally, do you have a philosophy maybe to port those ideas over to entrepreneurship, of how to measure an entrepreneur in maybe new ways we haven't thought of yet?
No, great. Appreciate that question, and appreciate anything Ellen may add. Look, I think there's two pieces to this equation. There is innovation and there's entrepreneurship, right? Innovation is about creating and thinking about, and sometimes we think about innovation just in terms of cool new technologies, but it could be a new way in which to do. It could be a new way, a new process in which to do it that could be innovative. And entrepreneurship is how do I then take that innovation and then bring it to some scale and bring it to the marketplace in a way that people can actually bring it to materialization. And I use the example sometimes to talk about how to think about this differently. And again, I'm gonna take some of y'all back that some of y'all ain't gonna get. That's YouTube is available. If George Jefferson came back, see, some of y'all laughing. If George Jefferson came back and started a cleaning business, and that cleaning business used technology to clean clothes better, faster, or cheaper, or deliver them in some Uber-like fashion, I'm sitting here to tell you, as TEDCO, I would want to understand that technology and invest, because I'm asking myself, is George a technologist who happens to be in the dry cleaning business, or is he a dry cleaner who's leveraging technology in a way that changes his scale, his customer delivery, or his defensibility in a way that transitions and changes who and what he is? And so I'm one of these people, and again, I used to be in higher ed myself, that entrepreneurship isn't a degree. Entrepreneurship is a way in which we think differently. And we talk about reading, writing, and arithmetic. I would love to talk about reading, writing, and arithmetic and innovation and how to get people to think. So when they come out of high school, when they come out of community college, I don't care if you're an English major, you're thinking differently about how to create and bring something to the table in a different way.
I'd love to add to that. I identify entrepreneurs and innovators by the people who are problem solvers. I'm going to share a secret with you guys. I created the iPod like in the early 80s. I did. I created the iPod in the early 80s, and I will tell you why. I was sitting in a friendly.
You know Jobs?
Well,
Steve?
I didn't make the money. I just came up with the idea. I was sitting in a Friendlies, and there was a good old-fashioned jukebox. The big jukebox? It was there, and it was playing the music.
Not everybody gonna get that.
Exactly. Not everybody's gonna get that. But there was a big old jukebox, and I said to my friend that was sitting with me, I said, what I really like about the jukebox is you get to pick the music that you want to hear. I don't like buying albums because you really only want one or two songs, and you got to listen to this whole album. I said, we need something portable where you can just pick the songs that you want, and you can have it. I said that then. I had no money. I had no connections. But I did that. And then, so when Steve Jobs came out, I started to track him and go after him,
I'm sure you
in court.
did. I'm sure you did.
I decided, I didn't have enough. But it's people who are sitting around looking at everyday things and trying to figure out how you could make them more convenient. I also invented pet insurance. There's plenty of things. I have a whole list of things that I invented before they actually became a thing because I am a problem solver. So that is how you identify.
It's a great question. To Ellen's point, a lot of what we see at TEDCO, a lot of what I've seen in my entrepreneurial investors has been someone had something in their life. There was some inconvenience that happened in their life. There was something that happened in their life, and they turned that inconvenience into something that they thought could scale. And that's what I've seen. And so to your question, it's not about, please don't take this wrong, there is a role for higher ed, there's a role for getting degrees, there's a role for education. That's absolutely true. But that doesn't mean that if you don't go that traditional path that you cannot be an innovator or an entrepreneur. That's the point. Any other questions?
I have a question for each of you. First of all, for Troy, I'm just wondering, what is TEDCO doing to bring more minorities into the innovation space? I used to be in the SBIR program, and minority participation is abysmal, to be blunt. And for Ellen, on behalf of the college, what is the college doing to get major corporations in Southern Maryland more involved in offering training as well as upwardly mobile job opportunities?
Industry engagement is a key tenet at CSM, and particularly in my department dealing with workforce development. We certainly have been doing this for a number of years, but it clearly elevated itself during the pandemic when it was very difficult to connect physically. We had to reach out to industry and engage them in a way and talk about their real challenges and their real needs. And part of it, their needs, is about a cultural shift that really all of us have to make. It goes back to your comment about the governor and him asking the state agency to really evaluate their job descriptions and determine which ones really needed degrees and which ones could use credentials. Industry has to do the same thing, have to really focus on what is it we really, really need, and what are the skills of the current talent that we have that might be able to fill some gaps. So talking with them about really understanding what their labor force shortages were, what the real emerging needs were, and then customizing training to help them fill their gaps has been a major part of our strategy that we really leaned into during the pandemic, and we're building some amazing industry relationships that's turning into new programming at CSM as a result.
So I appreciate the question, and I could do a whole TEDCO Talks to answer, but I'll try to summarize. This is a passion area of mine. You're right. I mean, when you look at the dollar amounts across the country, and they're reflective in Maryland in terms of the amount of venture dollars that have gone to people of color and women, it's less than 2%. I mean, that's just abysmal. That's a tragedy and the like. And so we have been very, the word is intention. I want to appreciate the boards for their support of the work that we're doing with our social impact funds. And Jean-Luc, where you at, Jean-Luc? Jean-Luc, where's Jean-Luc at? There's Jean-Luc, Jean-Luc Park. Jean-Luc Park, working with Jack Miner, runs our social impact funds. Within the social impact funds, we're looking at underrepresented founders. And we're looking at how do we find technologies that also that can be targeted to underrepresented communities. And so in a few minutes we're going to talk about SSBCI, and within that we have our Builder Fund, which thank the state of Maryland, thank legislators, thank the governor. That's going to move from $1 million to $5 million next year, eventually almost $8 million. That's focused on underrepresented founders as well. But the other part of the equation is, when people say the word entrepreneur, they normally are talking about the founder. They're talking about the founder. What we will also be working at TEDCO is, how do we be more intentional? I grew up as thinking I want to be an astronaut or an astronomer. So I talk about orbits colliding. So how do we find a way to get somebody, say from Hopkins, to meet somebody from Bowie, from Frostburg, from the College of Southern Maryland, when they start? How do we make those orbits collide? And how do we make sure that employees number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pick a number, that whole continuum of numbers is representative of the state of Maryland, both from a geography, a socioeconomic, and a gender point. We're working to make that part of it happen. And I want to... So, Ellen, as we close out, because Tammy would literally cut off my mic. I know this. Crystal ball, 5, 6 years from now. College of Southern Maryland. What y'all doing?
That universe that you just described, that's what we're doing.
Okay.
We're going to be the engine, along with all of the stakeholders that support the college every day, that provides those opportunities and those collisions for people who are going through the traditional learning route, for people who are pursuing entrepreneurial opportunities, for people who are looking to build the right kind of relationships to help take them to their next. And
Like to
that
take it to the next.
aligns so much with who I am personally. I know we're going to get there.
I love that, taking them to their next. I know you're trying to do that with me when I'm trying to be my CEO. Take to my next as a CEO. I appreciate that. So look, thank you all for being here tonight. For those that ain't here, we got an open bar. Sorry, y'all get your own open bar. They are like, when y'all shut down so we can get back to the open bar? We got a DJ here. He has been jamming, so we're trying to get back to that. Thank you all for being here tonight. This is Troy Lamel Stovall, the CEO of TEDCO. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate all you do for TEDCO, for Southern Maryland. Until next time, everybody be safe, be sane, be healthy, and be blessed. Check out.